Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Door to Door. This is your favorite Library Love Fest team, and your only one. I'm Virginia. Who's with me?
We're all with you. Specifically, me, Chris Connolly. Hello, everyone. Great to see you.
I'm Lainey Mays.
And here we are. And we are authorless today. You have all of us. Lucky you. Sometimes it's fun to just kick back and have us talk about books. Thanks for checking us out today. Um, so we're going to talk about a couple books that we're loving and some ALA stuff that's coming up. We hope that you're going to attend, and a couple of summer books that are super cool. So we'll get through as many as we can. We know you've heard about a lot of the books that that we've talked about in the past. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on that stuff, but it's super exciting to talk about some summer stuff. So without further ado, is anybody watching?
There are people watching. Yes, friends new and old. Kimberly McGee, Sylvia Chipka Bonani. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Sylvia Rosemary Basilio and Elizabeth Silver. So,
Oh,
so far, and that's just the people we know about. But yes, people all over. Greetings, friends. Great to see you. Hello, Vicky Nesting.
hi Vicky Nesting. Hi everyone. I'd like to see my new background because I'm tired of rolling my chair around in my bedroom trying to find a section of my wall that looks halfway decent. There it is. My 3 books and a plant. What do you think?
It's minimalist, but I think it's quite striking.
So not me to be minimalist, but give it time. All right, so let's get to it, you guys. Who wants to go first?
So should we just talk about two of our favorite authors who we had on our last episode, just to head things off? So I hope many of you or all of you were able to join us last week for our door to door with Andrew J. Graff, who wrote Raft of Stars, and Willie Vlaughton, who wrote The Night Always Comes. So again, two authors, two books that all three of us love, love, love. There's Raft of Stars, fantastic. And there is The Night Always Comes. Just a total joy to talk to these two authors. I think the word hope and kindness, those are two big concepts for both of these authors. They approach it differently, but both their books and the authors themselves, I think, just emit that sense of hope and kindness and just beautiful writing on top of it. So I'll start with Raft of Stars just because it's coming out in March, so pretty soon. Library Reads votes are due February 1st, but story of two young boys, 10 years old, I think, who essentially think they've committed a horrible crime. This is in the North Woods of Wisconsin, kind of a struggling, poor rural town, and they take off into the North Woods of Wisconsin to evade what they think is going to be a horrible outcome. They're going to get arrested, worst case. And it's kind of like a Huck Finn tale of these two building a raft, setting sail on this river towards something new. And these two kids are unforgettable and in some ways precocious, and they learn so much about themselves just in this experience. But you also have these adults that surround them who care deeply about them and are kind of chasing fighting the clock, chasing them through these woods to, rescue them essentially, because there is a looming threat these boys don't know about in the form of a dangerous gorge. It's just so good and so heartfelt and so kind. I could ramble on. Lady Virginia, anything else you want to say about? And it's a debut.
Read. It's our lead
Yes.
read, which will tell you something, and that's you guys know about this lead read. It's like our sales initiative where the whole committee gets together, and we wade through a bunch of manuscripts, and this one just punched at our hearts in a big old way. And I mean it's just tender and honestly. So when we had him on, Andrew Graff and Willie Vlaughton, and they each read a little bit from the book. People, you could go back, watch this on Facebook Live or watch it on YouTube on our Library Love Fest YouTube channel. People were just like, oh my God, they could read the whole book to us. I mean, seriously, it was a very special hour. So really recommend you go and check it out if you did not catch it. because they are, well, we'll get to Willie, but Andrew Graff, this is his debut. And it says so much that, I mean, I know there's some really great quotes. But, you know, I'm pulling one up right now. That one that's by, is it, hang on a second. I want to make sure that I get it. About, well, there's a star review from LJ. Kirkus reviewed it. Booklist loved it. This one, Richard Russo said, I had no idea people wrote books like Andrew J. Graff's Raft of Stars anymore. That's amazing. And he was stunned. I mean, we talked about that quote, and he goes on. Nicholas Butler. There's a ton of quotes. There's a ton of love for this. And if you go to his website, Google him, go to his website, he's got a sweet video of himself just kind of walking around the, you know, his childhood, you know, where he grew up and the rivers and sort of what was the inspiration for the book and history of him. Anyway, it's great. And Chris, you want to talk about Willie, and then we can play the song.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, the other author we had was an LLF longtime favorite, Willie Vlotten, whose new book, The Night Always Comes, publishes in April. Previous book, Don't Skip Out on Me, was a finalist for the Penn Faulkner Award and an AL8 notable book. And we adore Willie. He's a musician. He's obviously an incredibly talented author. And again, kind, and really sheds light on, I think, people whose stories need to be told that often aren't. People who fall through the margins, people who've made tough choices, who've had tough circumstances, you know, all of the above. In this case, Lynette, who's just 30, she's had kind of a tortured history, struggles with mental health, but she and her mom and her developmentally disabled brother are all living in this small home in Portland, Oregon. And they've been saving up to buy this home that they've lived in for a long time before things just get too expensive. And a kind of surprising decision by her mom puts that plan into complete disarray. And Lynette, this is over like 2 days, 2 nights, really fast paced, which is, I think, new for Willie. Lynette's running around Portland trying to collect enough money to put a down payment on this house before it's too late. And as Willie said in one of our old interviews, like you live hard lives and you interact with people who live hard lives. You know, there are often people who you can't always trust. And she does come across some very seedy characters, but there are also acts of incredible kindness in really surprising ways in this book. And just Lynette striving is a really incredible story to see unfold. Great character, like always with Willie. Star reviews, of course, for this book from Publishers Weekly and Library Journal. Library Journal says, this is literary art that will keep readers in their seats until the last page. He's just the best. We love Willie Vlotten. And as we mentioned, he is a musician as well, both for Richmond Fontaine and the DeLines. And his friend who he works with the DeLines wrote a song that Willie, as he said in our interviews, he heard this song, he's like, that's Lynette. That is Lynette. So, and Willie often will write book soundtracks, which is just another incredible facet to his work. Oftentimes his work starts as a song, and then the characters and the story will develop from that in really unexpected and beautiful ways. And we are happy to share the first song released as part of the book soundtrack for The Night Always Comes. It's called Lynette's Lament. Before I play anything else, Lainey, Virginia, that you want to say?
You did a great job. Yeah, I think we're all three like gaga about this book, and it is really just such a sweet story and a really dark couple of days for this person. Dark life, I guess. But you just really root for her, even though she might have been involved in some things that you don't really understand, but it unravels for you, and you just really want her to come out on top for once in this world that it's not really built for her.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. More than that, the joy is in the read. Though I will say for the if you watch the Facebook Live, in addition to this song that Chris is now going to play, just a beautiful instrumental. Willie Vlotten had his guitar and sang a song, and all three of us got a little choked up. So another reason to go watch that. But yeah, Chris, play a little bit of it. It's so haunting.
Okay, here we go.
Go listen to the rest of it. It's amazing. He writes, he wrote in an email that he felt like that was when he could just picture Lynette driving around at night looking for what she's looking for. And then you don't need to know more than that. But it's so, just listening to that music again is like, I just can picture this woman and it's haunting. I mean, and you can feel it, you know, she's trying to get what she needs. It's really wonderful, very evocative. So anyway, if you can watch those two gentlemen on our last Facebook Live, you should. And again, they're both still eligible to be voted on for library reads, right, you guys? I have some sort of
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Raft of Stars votes are due on March 1st. No, excuse me, February 1st. Raft of Stars votes are due February 1st, and then The Night Always Comes votes are due March 1st.
Yeah, two unique men, two unique writers, and so cool that we got those two together because I think they were really connecting, which was kind of cool. What else? Do we want to talk about some ALA stuff? Do you want to talk about, because we have stuff to talk about. Lainey, you want to let everybody tell all the winners what they'll win?
Well, I wanted to show our schedule, which is on our blog, so librarylovefest.com. You can see everything we're doing at ALA midwinter, our fun Zoom photos. You know, we have so many people asking about our funny photos, and I'm like, well, we're not together, but I think we did pretty good for not being together. Have some funny videos. So we'll be in the booth some days throughout the conference, actually every day, but for a little bit of time. So that is on here as well as a link to the booth. So come chat with us. There's text and video. But we also have Natalie Bazil, who wrote We Are Each Other's Harvest. She's going to be a featured speaker, as well as Cicely Tyson, huge, in conversation with Don Bogle. And then Virginia doing Forget Your Troubles on that Monday after, well, it's the last day of the conference. So that's exciting. We have our author, Sarah Nisha Adams, for the reading list. And then a really exciting program that we got to do for the diversity in publishing stage is the representing program. And it's all about diverse characters. So it's not just about the author. It's about characters in books that represent you. If you opened it up, you could see yourself. And we have 3 really cool authors. We have Kat Sebastian, and the latest book is The Queer Principles of Kit Webb. We have Will Leach, who wrote How Lucky, fiction debut, and another fiction debut, Morgan Jerkins, author of Call Baby. And we're very excited about this program. We've already recorded, obviously. It'll be on demand for the show. And I think it was really, really fun and a really cool thing to do. These books were just so wonderful. And I think that, you know, they're very different. They're not alike in the least, but they all kind of fit together under this theme really well. And I think we had a good conversation. So I really urge you to go listen to it, because not only was it a joy to read the books and come up with questions, but just to sit and talk with the authors. I think they brought so much, and, you know, they only have like 8 minutes to talk, but And they obviously can't go into every piece of the book, but they did such a great job. So I hope you guys go and watch that.
I just want to echo and tell you guys how great this is. And Lainey, I don't know if you're purposely not discussing the specifics of the diversity, and if you want that to be something that attendees understand once they watch it.
No, it's not a secret. We put it in the description of the program. So we have obviously 2 African American families in Call Baby in Harlem, and with a little bit of, I guess, New Orleans magic thrown in there. And then we have How Lucky, and this book is such a joy because I think Virginia and I talked about this, and we love Jenny Moon, but also like if you're a fan of Graham Simpson, like that's the kind of that's the vibe. It's like serious topics, but it really feels like you're like in a hot air balloon just being uplifted. It's really fun. And this character is in a wheelchair. He has a disease, and let me confirm that I'm saying the right way. Spinal muscular atrophy. And so he's been confined to this wheelchair most of his life, but he has just recently had an incident. Now he can't speak, and so he works for an online, like on Twitter, writing for an online airline. So if they miss their flight, they obviously are going to tweet them and tell them how terrible they feel about it. And because they can't see him, they treat him normally and pretty terribly. And so that kind of gives him a joy that they don't know anything about him and they can kind of be mean to him where other people might not. But he sees a girl walk by his house every so often that goes to the college in town, and one day she gets in a car. He sees her get in, and no one, he's ignored in life. No one really pays him any attention. And she gets in a car, and now she's missing. So he's going to take it upon himself to solve this crime and try to figure out what happened. And he might be an unlikely person to solve this crime, and he gets into a little bit of trouble. But there is a lot of fun and a lot of humor and a lot of laughs in this book, but it's also really heartfelt. And he's a guy who considers himself pretty lucky. He goes through his life and does what he has to. But also, we have the queer principles of Kit Webb. So Kat Sebastian writes queer romances, historical romances, and this one is 2 men in the Georgian period, which is their first time writing Georgian period books. And one owns a coffee house, and one is an aristocrat, and he wants to kind of stick it to his father. So he goes looking for this in this coffee house because he knows that now he owns a coffee house, but he used to be a kind of like a pirate of the road, steal from the rich. And so he goes there for his help, but he's been hurt in the past. So he tells him, well, I'll teach you how to do it. I'm not doing it. And then of course, romance ensues. And as we talk about in the program, there's a library, a lending library in there. Anyway, that's a lot to say how much I loved these books, and I really hope you go and check. That's just a skim off the top of how great these books are.
It's such a great interview. It's really wonderful, and Lainey did a great job moderating this, and just as she said, writing how authors are writing characters in fiction and representing diversity of all kinds. And so there you have it. And this is Kat Sebastian's first in print, right?
First trade paperback.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I didn't spend too much time on Call Baby. It is so beautiful and a great sense of place. Chris, I know you're a fan of it if you want to say anything. But...
Yeah, I think Morgan's such an amazing author, whether it was her previous nonfiction work, and as you know, this is her first foray into fiction, and she's just so talented at kind of taking, as you had mentioned, like kind of like black magic, as she says, the history of storytelling, of magic in the Black community, and injecting it into a story, of this mysterious family in Harlem, the Mellon Khans, who will do pretty much anything they can to maintain their power, and 2 women whose lives kind of intersect with them. Yeah, it's just like the pacing. She's so good. You wouldn't know it's her first first fiction work.
Yeah.
It's just like masterful and absorbing, and yeah, I love how, I just love everything she injected into this work, and it's like in some ways reflective of what she's written about in her previous nonfiction works. This would be my undoing and Wandering in Strange Lands, but it's completely unique and on its own. So
Really cool conversation about gentrification as well.
yeah,
Especially, yeah.
And then we should just go right into Facebook Live with Morgan Jerkins and Patrick Francis, because that's all confirmed, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's on February 2nd, right? We have Morgan Jerkins will be speaking live about her book, as will Patrick Francis, whose book All the Children Are Home, will be speaking as well. Her book is, we've talked about this, it's about a foster family, and it follows them over the course of it's a decade, 12 years, something, and it's set in the 50s and 60s in a small town in Massachusetts. And it follows this family, these foster parents, and their the children that they've been fostering for many years, and then the changes that take place in their lives when they take on this 6-year-old Indigenous girl, Agnes, who comes to live with them. And the mother never wanted this. She did not. She had a few caveats: no newborns, no delinquents, and above all, no girls. But the social worker begs them to take this little kid, and she's been abused and neglected, and they just say yes, and they take her. And she is the child herself is Native American, but has no real history. Just some glimpses of some things that have happened in her past, like a box of trinkets that were given to her by her mother, and some memories about her sister. But that's kind of about it. And it's this is the author of The Orphans of Race Point, which was back in 2014, in a big book. The backstory about this is that Patrick Francis's late husband was Native American and was also a foster child. So that was a big backdrop and for the book, and inspired the writing of it. So we're going to have Patrick Francis and Morgan Jerkins on together on February 2nd, each talking about their book. So we hope you come back. Do it.
So if we're still talking about ALA, we have an exciting treat. I'm not going to show all of it because you have to go to our booth to see the rest, but Infinitum by Tim Fielder, who's a Mississippian. Very exciting. And he wrote Infinitum, and he made a little video for our booth, and I'm just going to show you a short snippet.
He's cool.
Hope you can hear it.
Hi, my name is Tim Fielder. I'm a visual Afrofuturist.
It's only 5 minutes, so I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's so fun. Like, if that shows you anything, that tells you how fun he is.
His bow tie lights up. That's enough for me. I love him.
Yeah. And he takes you through what Afrofuturism is. So he explains it much better than I could right now. So go check out our booth, and that is a featured link. So we have him coming into our booth. We're very excited. And he will be on our door-to-door. And we're very excited because he is sharing the hour with the Johnny Sun.
What? Just hot off the press. Ink still wet. Dang.
Very exciid.
Tell us all about Johnny Sun.
Johnny Sun is an illustrator. You probably know him from several of his books. He has the Alien books, and he has worked with Lin-Manuel to make their Good Night. I don't want to say it wrong. Anyway. So he's an illustrator, but this is a collection of essays with some illustrations as well. So we thought it'd be fun to pair two illustrators together. And so we have Tim Fielder for half our hour, and then we'll have Johnny Sun for the other, and that's on February 23rd at 2 p.m.
And what is the title of his book?
Goodbye Again.
Goodbye again. And did you just say Lin-Manuel, like you two are like besties?
Oh, you know, I only wish in my dreams.
No, this is going to be a lot of fun. So if you are not familiar with either one of these authors, I think this is different. This is, and I just, we don't have a lot of, sort of graphic and comic and illustrators. And so I just think together, this is going to be huge. So more to come.
And I'm gonna pull up, try to do it quickly. I'll pull up the cover so you guys can
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
We can go on if we need.
All righty. Foregone, Russell Banks' book. If you are a subscriber to Booklist, then we sent out an e-blast today to a lot of subscribers of Booklist, reminding folks that the deadline to vote is upon us. There's the goodbye again, Johnny's son. Do we have the infinitum? If we do, great. If we don't, it's okay. You'll see plenty of this. But this Russell Banks book it's his first novel in 10 years. And I know that we've had him on. He was on with Nancy Pearl. You can see that. If you haven't, go to the archive and you can see Nancy Pearl talking to Russell Banks about this book, which is, I love this book. I love Russell Banks. And but you know what? Sometimes we love authors and it's like, it's okay. No, it's great. It's about this man who's looking back on his life. He's dying. And he is looking back on his life, and it's all about memory and what how you sort of remember your life versus the facts. And when Russell was talking about this book and talking about Leo Fife, who's the center of the book, it's very interesting because if you're having a conversation with a sibling or family member or even a friend, and oftentimes you will have very different memories of the same episode in your life. And be like, I don't remember that. That didn't happen that way. And this is him looking back at the end of his life, and it's heavy. And he needs forgiveness, and he needs redemption for some of the things that he's done with the people in his life. And I will sort of leave it at that, but just to say that he's a documentary filmmaker, Canadian American. He was he was a draft evader, and he didn't want to, he was avoided serving in the Vietnam War, and now he's in he's lived his life, and he's got his sort of his tight the people who are in his circles, former students who are now documentary filmmakers of their own, and they're seeing this as an opportunity to capture Leonard Fife, and they have their own idea of what they want this to be. They know he is literally he is dying, and they want to capture, they want him to answer the questions that they have for him, and he wants to talk about a whole other chapter of his life. He wants to talk about the stuff that is on his mind and how he's imagined it, how he's remembered it. And it's just so powerful. It's really, really brilliant. And I loved it. It was called Foregone. It's really great. I could read it again, and I wish I could for the first time. He's so smart. That's Russell Banks. Okay, I'll stop. The more I love a book, the less I can talk about it without making sound like an idiot.
No, that was not at all. It is a special book, and I love hearing you and Russell talk in particular. And no, that was fantastic. And I guess I'll follow up with a book that I'm loving, right?
Yeah.
Should I? Okay. After Parties, a short story collection by Anthony Vayasna. So, and it's hard to talk about this book because it's a short story collection, and it's kind of centering on the Cambodian American experience, on the queer experience, by an author who was so incredibly talented, but who we lost just recently here in December at the age of 28. He died unexpectedly. But this collection is just so vibrant and full of life, and I'm just continually thinking about it after having read it. It really seeps into your mind, and it's, again, a collection of stories. It's eclectic, and they're all so well written. That is pretty, again, all kind of all over the place. I mean, the opening story, I talked about this at our Alma pre-midwinter buzz earlier this morning, if any of you watching attended that. But I only had 5 minutes to go over 4 books, and I feel like I could talk about this book for 5 hours, so I did want to return to it. But it's just an interesting look at what it means to be an immigrant, to be gay, to feel othered. The family dynamics. Cambodian history is, as any country, there's a lot of complexity and nuance there. So, whether it's the adults dealing with the Khmer Rouge genocide, there's just so much there. And like the opening story is a single mother who owns a 24-hour donut diner, and her 2 teenage daughters are basically helping her run the night shift while doing kind of their own thing. And this man kind of wanders in somewhat regularly. He just orders a donut, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. He sits there and just stares out the window, and they're all kind of like, I think he's Cambodian, and they're kind of like all injecting their own conceptions on who this guy is. One of the daughters is taking a psychiatry course, so she's like kind of studying him as well. But then it kind of all comes to a front in really unexpected ways. Like there's a lot of like physical movement and description, and kind of like that pulse pounding element to these stories, but it's also the characterizations are just so detailed and poised and just diverse. Like there's just so many intricacies to these stories, and I just love like these little kind of fly on the wall looks at this community. It's just so good, and I understand now, like there's pages of praise for this book. I just want to read this quick quote and also share some big news on this book. Let's see here. This is from Jonathan D. He wrote The Locals and the Privileges. You can count on one hand the authors of the century whose debut short story collections are as prodigious and career-making as After Parties. Just so talented, and again, it's heartbreaking that we lost Anthony. But this is such an important collection, and This American Life will be airing a version of Generational Differences, which is a story from this collection, on Friday, January 22nd. It's part of an episode on loss. The narrator will be announced. And then also Roxane Gay, as many of you know, has announced her new book club, and After Parties is going to be her December 2021 read. So she's already announced the full lineup for 2021, and she'll be ending the year with this very special collection. I just can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. So any galleys are available. We'll hook you up. So do read it, please.
That was awesome. And also, don't you hate when you have like 9 seconds to talk about a book, and then when you have more time, it's like, it feels like you can breathe, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it deserves that. It deserves all the time. So I do hope, everyone just read it, please.
Yeah.
Talk more about it.
So sad that but so sad that he's gone, but so wonderful that his words will live on,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see, Lainey, do you want to talk about, let's see, we've got All the Children at Home, Call Baby, Tim Fielder, Johnny's Son. All the ALA is right there on Library Love Fest. We have a couple other books that we were going to talk about before we jumped into summer. You guys want to talk about Hidden Palace and anybody? Burp?
Yeah. I'll talk about Hidden Palace. It's something I wanted to bring up because the eGalley is now available, and I know this was such a highly anticipated release. This is the sequel to The Golem and the Jinni, which was widely just praised, awarded, and beloved in the librarian community. So I know people were so eagerly anticipating this book. And myself, having not read The Golem and the Jinni first, this was my first experience with Helene Wecker's writing. Holy smokes! It's like, there's elements of genre and mysticism and fantasy in this work, but it just reads like a brilliant, masterful not just, it reads like a brilliant, masterful author doing what she does best, which is this enthralling mix of, again, like historical fiction, fantasy. So you have you have the return of Hava the Golem and Ahmad the Jinni, who are now living in New York City in the years leading up to World War I, and just trying to blend in to, you know, avoid potential risk to their own lives and the lives of others. But again, you're wrapped up in this are a cast of characters who inadvertently kind of cross paths with these two characters. So it's a blend of both Yiddish and Eastern, Middle Eastern mythology and literature. And it's especially like being in New York City at this time, and Helene just writing this setting and these characters so absorbingly and brilliantly. It's like you just get swept up. You like almost get short of breath because you're just covering so much ground. And it's, again, it's all weighted by these two beloved characters who many of you know. I'm just reading the comments on Facebook who are so excited about this. It's a big deal. And now I totally understand why. And I think that's a great thing. There are going to be readers who've read The Golem and the Jinni who will dive right into this. I think you can read this on its own as well. You'll be immediately swept up like I was, but I am also very eager to go back. So for those of you asking about the book in the galley, we'll reach out because I do want to get your eyes on this one. Loved it. So good. So that's me.
That's cool. Yeah, man. It's been a while, but totally worth the wait. And I remember everybody coming in and just, you know, coming on board to read that book and embrace it the way you all did. So it's pretty exciting.
Do we want to go to July? Nobody, somebody, anybody? Or
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So we're gonna move to some summer. So
Wait,
nobody.
can I just interrupt for 1 second? I'm so sorry.
Sure.
Just the I know you mentioned it quickly, Lainey. The ALA, it's that last program, Forget Your Troubles, is it's not an official ALA program, but it's happening toward the end of ALA, and so the information is in our booth. But what's cool is that it's going to be Talia Scherer from Workman, Annie from Macmillan, and Annie Mazes from Workman, and yours truly. And so we're each going to have our own author speak about their book. And we really thought, like, you know what, we need some happiness. We need some uplifting, sort of, you know, just uplifting reads. We need it now. So so that's what that is. And then after each author talks about their books, and ours is the reading list. Our author will be talking about her book, The Reading List, is Sarah Nisha Adams. Then each of us, each publishing rep, Annie, Talia, and I, will talk about a couple of books that are in that vein, sort of uplifting and but forthcoming books that are just sort of like, you know, just some inspirational and feel good books, and you know, we need it. So anyway, that's what it is. But The Reading List by Sarah Nisha Adams is a debut. That's about a list of library books that sort of forged this unlikely friendship between two very different people who live in this borough in London, and it's got a multi-culti element to the book as well. It's really beautiful, and she's lovely. So anyway, I hope you guys can attend that, and that info is on LLF.com. Now, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. So Nobody, Somebody, Anybody by Kelly McClory. What a fun book. This is a dark comedy, but it's very moving as well. And it has a fun backstory. You should check out her behind the book on Edelweiss, because she talks about her own time, Kelly's time, as she worked as a housekeeper for a yacht club in Massachusetts. And she had a lot of solitude that went with that job, and kind of, you know, we're all experiencing that right now, and what your mind can kind of do to itself when you have a lot of time on your hands. And so in this book, this novel, we see Amy Harney, who is a chambermaid in the summer, and she's trying to become an EMT, and it's her third time to take this test. And she, you know, doesn't know how it's going. She's studying hard, maybe not so hard as she should be. She's working as this chambermaid, but you know, she's like flipping the channels and watching TV instead of cleaning while she's cleaning, or she's looking out at the deck and watching people walk by and wondering what their stories are. And then absolutely hilarious part is that she goes home and tries to collect her landlord's bail before he gets home, and she opens it and sees what's going on and realizes he has a relationship with someone in another country, thinking that they're going to get engaged and come over. And so she's deep in his life. He has no idea she knows anything about this. So, like I said, keeping busy, studying, doing what she's supposed to. And when she decides that everything she does kind of gets her in her head, and all of her interactions with people are just not going the way she is. She's not studying, so she's going to do a self-prescribed placebo program. So she's going to get her life together and get this confidence to succeed. And then she finds herself in all kinds of things. She's going to her landlord's house for dinner to help him with his fiance's visa, and now she's dealing with making friends after her mother's passing. And so she's really having to come out of this loneliness. But it explores a lot of that dark inner world of grief and loneliness. And in that behind the book, the author says she wanted us to laugh, but she didn't want us to laugh at her, because a lot of things happen to her that are very funny, but with her, because we've all had those experiences. And it's perfect for fans of Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Mostly Dead Things. Those are some of the comps, and the cover, I think, cracks all of us up every time.
It's so great, isn't it? Love it.
Funny.
Love that. Looks like if I was going to there's going to be a book written about me, that'd be a cover. Okay, so one more book, and then move on to a couple of summer books. But so Facebook Live, door to door, we continue on, and we have right now on, let me see, hold it, January 28th, which is right around the corner. We have Kim Todd, who's written this book going on sale in April. It's called Sensational: The Hidden History of America's Girl Stunt Reporters. I don't know if you have the jacket, Lainey, for that. I think this is so cool. We just kicked this around and thought, wow, this would be so amazing if we could get the author on, and we are. So this is set in the author the 1880s and the 1890s. It's sort of like turn of the century, first female stunt reporters who go undercover to report on things that aren't really sort of up to snuff. These women are they go undercover to expose corruption and abuse in America, and redefine what it meant to be a woman and a journalist. So, for instance, there were women who would work in the sewing factories, and they would expose child labor laws, which were, just horrible what was going on there. There weren't laws. So they would steal into these sewing factories, and they would faint in the streets to test public hospital treatment. They posed as lobbyists to reveal corrupt politicians. These were inventive writers whose in-depth narratives made headlines for weeks at a stretch. They were called girl stunt reporters. And they ended up changing laws, and they helped launch a labor movement and championed women's rights and redefined journalism for the modern age. This book, it goes on sale in April, and I think this is going to be a real eye-opener. The research on this is amazing. And so, if you think of, Code Girls or Hidden Figures or The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, that's the vein. And I think it's going to be, if you're into, female-centric narratives and American studies and social and cultural history, then Sensational is right up your alley. So, we have another author who will be hopefully splitting the time with her, but right now it's not confirmed. So more on that. We'll know soon. Hello. Who's there?
Yeah. So we're very excited for that book.
Yep. Very excited. Sensational. Hidden History of America's Girl Stunt Reporters. And very, very neat. So anyway. All right, some summer books.
That's good.
What do we got? We've got
Ooh. Well, I told you about
Lainey.
How Lucky and The Last and Nobody, Somebody, Anybody, which were both summer. So those are my summer reads.
What about Quentin?
Oh,
Christopher.
Yeah. So we're welcoming Quentin Tarantino. Yes, there is only one Quentin Tarantino. He's one of the most influential writers, directors, producers, personalities in ever, really. So this is a this is his novel. Let me phrase this correctly. A novelized account of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So it's not just like a script, in book form. This is Quentin Tarantino writing a novel based on the same story and general timeline as his hugely successful movie. But it's not word for word. So there's new twists, there's new turns, all told in Quentin Tarantino's distinctive voice. If you know anything about Quentin Tarantino, he doesn't do anything half-heartedly. He's passionate about film, and he's passionate about books as well. We're actually publishing this as a paperback at first to kind of play off Quentin's love of like old school, crime paperbacks. So it's going to be a paperback first and a hardcover. And again, like we said, he's serious about this, and the writing and the quality and everything is a huge deal for us. And I mean, it's kind of a dream come true to have Quentin Tarantino on our list. It feels weird to even say it, but it's happening. So, and I'm just pulling up the pub date on this.
Oh, it's right here. It's June 29th.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Lainey. Yeah, so if you're a fan of the film or not, it doesn't matter. It stands on its own, but it will just be a completely new, fresh experience for you. It's a huge deal. If you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, let us know what your favorite work of his is in the comments. It'd be fun to know, just to gather an opinion. So
It's cool that it's mass market too. I think that's a fun, and I think people in my life who maybe not are even that big of readers as some people in my life, but when I say Quentin, they were like, wait, hold on, back up. Quentin Tarantino has a book. Very excited.
Yeah, that's cool. How are we doing are there any questions that people have, or should we just finish up? We have 10 minutes left. Well, how are we looking?
Looking good. I'm looking for, we've got a crowd.
That is fantastic.
Oh, question. Oh, so Vicky asked about the audio e-galley of Rap Stars. I'm looking into it for you. I don't know, but answer coming. Somebody asked, let's see, Kim, will this be an audio, or no, sorry, Casey Davis. Will this be an audiobook? I'm assuming you're talking about Sensational, or let me know and we'll answer that.
I think she was asking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So
okay, do we know? I don't know if we know.
We know.
We'll get you an answer.
But we will know.
We will know, and we will let you know, and then we will all know.
Yeah, Casey said yes. So we will look into that.
You guys are the best sending in questions. We love you. Love you that as busy as you are, and that we don't have an author today, you guys are still like, hey, we're here. What you got?
Oh, look at this. Read by To Be Determined.
Oh,
we have
I hear To Be Determined is a terrific narrator.
So, but yes, the art is up. There will be an audio.
Awesome. Lainey, you're rocking it. Laura Lippman has a new standalone coming out. Goes on sale in June. It's called Dream Girl. And it is about it's about a novelist who is confined to his apartment after an injury, and he's plagued by phone calls from a female prankster. Um, and it's very creepy because he's not really sure what's happening. But it's a little bit like Misery. Remember? James Caan, Kathy Bates. I'm talking about the movie. Of course, there's the book. Anyway, you know, Laura Littman, she's amazing, and everything she touches turns to gold, in our opinion. So keep an eye out for that, because that is going to be super psychologically twisty and creepy, as only Laura can do. What else do we have? Dream Girl. What other summer books? We promised some summer books. Oh, the the Women's March by Jennifer Chiaverini. Wonderful Jennifer Chiaverini, great historical fiction writer. And this is a novel of the 1913 woman suffrage procession. This is historical novel, and it's based on the women's suffrage movement, and it's inspired by 3 women who risked their lives and liberty in the fight to win the vote. So it profiles these 3 women and how they all affected each other. And she's amazing. Jennifer Chiaverini is, first of all, one of the nicest people I've ever met. And I don't know how she does all that she does, because she does all the quilting books, and then she does these historical fiction books, and everything she does is no shortcut. And so this is inspired by actual events, and it's just offering this fascinating account of this little remembered moment in American history that was a turning point for women's rights. So she's genius and lovely. That's coming in June. What else do we have with 7 minutes left?
Well, we have Graham Norton's book. Just
what?
Nonchalantly, you know. Very excited.
Well.
I am obsessed with Graham Norton. I love him so much. You might know him. He's an author, so you know he's an author, but also he won the 2016 Irish Independent Popular Fiction Award. But he's also just a beloved broadcaster. You've seen him on the Graham Norton Show on BBC, or he has a podcast that I like to listen to. He's just a fun guy. I feel like anything he does or says just cracks me up. But this is his novel coming in June. Let me double check that. Yes.
That's super exciting.
June. Yeah, we're very excited. This cover
We're going to try and get some of
new.
these lovelies on our Facebook Live. Wouldn't that be so cool?
Oh, he's wonderful.
Susan Elizabeth Phillips has a new one out.
Yes.
So for all the seppies out there, When Stars Collide goes on sale in May. Beatrice Williams, one more historical fiction, and that's Our Woman in Moscow. Yeah. Oh, and Hairpin Bridge. That's gonna be. You guys know about Hairpin Bridge?
Yeah. Taylor Adams' second novel. We met him when we were in Seattle. He's lovely. This book is about 2 sisters. One of them dies in a bridge suicide? Question mark. That's what they believe. That's what the sister believes. And when she goes to investigate, she finds, I believe, a note. I can't remember if it's physical or on the phone, but she finds a note, and she's like, well, I don't know. It doesn't all like equal out. And this police officer was there to get statements, but he was there in odd timing. So now she's trying to figure out what's going on. And, you know, he has some intense scenes. I was telling someone the other day about the first book, which happened at a rest stop in a blizzard. And I was like, never stop at a rest stop in a blizzard. Let me tell you. It's terrifying. So yeah, really fun. I can't wait to read that one.
Well, the last book, No Exit, that's the one you're talking about. That, can you show the jacket for this Hairpin Bridge? I love this jacket. Are you showing it?
Yeah, 1 second.
I think it says it all. I just sounded like Harvey Firestein, just like, it says it all.
He had a really funny behind the book for his first book, No Exit, where he was like things you learn while writing thrillers, and it was like how to hurt someone fatally with a hammer or something. Like it was really funny.
That's just somebody you want to sit next to at a dinner party.
I did. He was lovely.
He's so sweet. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's Hairpin Bridge.
Yeah. And geez, we have for fans of the Today Show, Craig Melvin is he's written a book called Pops, not to be confused with the Michael Chabon book Pops. So you're going to hear a lot about that one as well. It's about his fatherhood. So yeah, that's let's see, when is that coming out? Da, 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 da. Let's see. That is coming out. There we go. Craig Melvin, My Dad, Our Journey and What I've Learned About Fatherhood. He seems like such a lovely man. Yeah, so that is June. Anything else we want to let folks know before we bid adieu?
I think just a heads up that we do have our big book buzz on February 10th. So I just want to remind everyone about that. So we're going to have our 2-hour book buzz hosted on Crowdcast on February 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to put the registration link in the comments section because we'll be talking about some new titles. We have 2 hours, so we're gonna be talking about a lot of the big summer 2021 titles. So registration link is in the comments. I want you to know about that.
Just want to quickly remind everybody that our Instagram takeovers are happening. Molly Greeley, author of The Heiress, did a amazing one last Friday. So fun. She really went above and beyond to post. So go check that out. It's on our Harper Library feed. But this week we have Ron Lieber, New York Times columnist, talk about his book, The Price You Pay for College. Very excited. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of good info that he has to share about this book.
And that book's pub date moved so that they could incorporate all of the, reflective of the times. So that was supposed to have already come out. And so that's just to give you a sense of how, sort of up to date that book is with all new content. Reflective, as I say, of what's going on. So he's interesting that writes for the New York Times. And so anyway, yeah. And Chris, are you going to put the link to the Crowdcast in the chat?
Yep, it's there. So anyone watching, registration link is there.
Keep your eyes peeled for future confirmations for our Facebook Live door-to-door interviews, and we're super excited about what we have. That we're almost ready to announce a couple more that are really, really cool. So in addition to what we have, so please do check that out. And ALA, and I don't know, just
every second about the podcast.
Oh, sure.
So we've had some really fun episodes. We have some fun ones coming, including Jocelyn Jackson and Andrew Graff for Rap Stars. Chris interviewed him. But we had our Library Reads winners this month for February, Nancy Johnson and Alicia Rye, who's in the Hall of Fame now. That was a really cool episode, and they really had sweet audios that they sent in to us. You can go listen to that. And we featured a conversation with Nancy Pearl and Russell Banks when they were on our Facebook Live. So you can go hear a clip from that. And our audio, which has become like a juggernaut. It's amazing. We had Andrew Caberline from our audio department and audio marketing department, and he came on to tell us about what's new in audio and realize your favorite new audiobook narrator, Marin Ireland, apparently, because she's amazing. And he's the voice of the NetGalley and Edelweiss watermark. So it is a big get for us.
You guys have got to listen to this thing because it was so much fun. First of all, he's super funny and sort of dry, right, you guys? But like, we know him and he's really nice, and he's been to ALA a bunch of times, and he's very clever, but he's also, he's not snarky. He's funny in a kind, sweet way. I love that kind of humor, and he's it's a really fun interview. Lainey, you had a hell of a time trying to edit that thing because we were just blabbing off for forever. But what was so cool is that it was talking about these audio books and which ones bubble to the top, like Nothing to See Here, or Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson is like one of the, I don't know, it's like the most popular. And if you go to hc.com, if you are not an audiobook person and it's just not your jam, if you go to hc.com, short for HarperCollins.com, and you type in Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson, and then there's like a little 5-minute clip underneath the little jacket, click on that. And I guarantee you, you're going to want to listen to the whole thing. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not much of an audiobook person. And that was like, I need to listen to this entire thing. Because, and that was that Marin Island, Lainey?
Yeah,
right?
That one and
So.
Leave the World Behind and Good Company, maybe? Yeah, I think so.
It's great. So it was really interesting to learn about audiobooks and what, and I don't know, just inside baseball. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And then he plays some clips from Neil Gaiman. He plays some different clips. It's really cool. This is really neat. I love that.
Very fun.
Yeah.
You can subscribe and those come right to your feed if you listen to podcasts. If you don't, just go to SoundCloud. You can listen to our big backlist. But if you want to get notifications when those come out, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can subscribe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll hook you up. That's it. I think we're done because people have lives, but it's so nice to we love interviewing our authors, and it's an honor when we have them share the screen with us. Don't get us wrong, but it's also nice to just talk to you all, to each other about books that we're loving, that are out, that are about to come out, that'll be out in a couple of months from now. So thanks for the time. Thanks for listening. We really do appreciate it. And we hope to see you again really soon, certainly in person, but until then at ALA and at our buzz and all that other stuff. So just stay well, hang in there. The light is at the end of the tunnel. Hang on. That's all. Be well, you guys.
Oh my God.
Dating game kiss? Dating game kiss.
Oh.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.